Right. The 3 at the lunch table. Jake's first time at the lunch table. He's been on the YouTube a million times. You guys know him. All right. So before we get into this week, we got to talk about last week. You weren't here yet, so you don't have any picks. And Jake's, you don't count. We'll tell everyone what they were, but they got to be officially on the show.
He does not count.
Yeah, his do not count. Joey is actually in first place in straight up picks, despite him just being at Joey. There's no other way to describe it.
But where am I? Number one.
Straight up.
I'm
Straight up's easy.
Well, then why'd you go 7-3?
Fine.
So easy. You said so.
Against the spread. You can go ahead and bet all those fucking like minus 400 games. I won't win you any money.
Not even 2 minutes in, we already got one. So.
All right. I'm in second place at 8-2. Frank and Jake tied for last, 7-3. No one did poorly though. Against the spread, I'm in first, 63%, almost 64. Jake's in second, 59%.
Yeah,
of course, it doesn't count towards this total though. And Joey's in third, 57%. And Frank is in last at 45%. It's only 1 week.
That's why I'm not a betting man.
Ooh, I gotta say, impressive first week there against the spread.
I've just been on a heater. That's like 3 weeks in a row of like since I've started recording these, I'm like over 60 every week. So hopefully I keep that going.
Yeah.
But this week, let's just get into the games now. All right, first up, Memphis 3-1 versus number 7 Cincy 4-0. Both teams are pretty good American teams. So I want Jake to open it up since you're new here.
Well, since he's one of my many teams I enjoy watching, so I'm obviously going to take them straight up, and I'll take them with the points at minus 6.5. Ran through SMU last week by 29.
They looked really good too. Yeah, same process as me. I think everyone's kind of pretty similar on this one. Cincy's minus 6.5 over 50.
And we'll go with Joe's logic too, because since he beat SMU by 29, while Memphis lost to him by 3. So I mean, since he has to win by at least 32, right, Joe?
I didn't really
I
follow
have to say
that,
about
honestly, if I'm being honest. I didn't follow what you said there, but Cincy, yeah, sure.
Cincy by 32 from Joe's math.
Okay. I wouldn't go that far.
Frank, what you got?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Cincy actually surprised me because I thought that I picked SMU last week, and they're starting to grow on me a little bit. I thought at the beginning of the year I was like, Cincy. But that win last week was a little eye-opening right there. So, yeah, I got Cincy. Everybody's got Cincy. So,
Yes, sir.
Yep, Cincy. And then we
both took Luke and I both took the over as well on our card, but that's it for that. The next game, go Bearcats fan. I'm not a big Bearcats guy, but I'm buying into this team. All right, next up we got number 17 Indiana, undefeated, 11-point favorites over Rutgers, over under 52.5. At the beginning of this year, you wouldn't expect this game like as a top game of the week, but it's actually two pretty decent teams.
Mm-hmm.
Rutgers might kind of be a little overrated. They faced a terrible Michigan State team.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to go Indiana minus 11, over 52.5. I think they can both score enough, especially Indiana. So I like the over in that. Luke, what you like?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I'd love to see Rutgers pull off another win, I don't think it's going to come against Indiana. Same thing. I don't know. Michigan State was not very good. So
yeah, Rocky Lombardi's a terrible keeper.
Yeah, it's kind of like you won, but it was like you probably should have won, even by Rutgers standards. But so,
Frank,
Yeah,
which
I'll take you.
Joe, sorry.
No, I
let the commentator speak, Joe.
No, you guys just go. There's no.
I'm going to take it over Frank here, actually, Larry the Legend. So I had not much else to say besides what they did. I stayed away from the minus 11 because I think Rutgers looked solid last week, and I wouldn't really mess with that. I think it's going to be right around there. But obviously Indiana straight up, they were impressive against a decent Penn State team last week. But I stayed away from that minus 11. What, Frank? A little head bob over there.
All right, Pete. I actually agree with you.
Pittsburgh fan.
Okay, Muskegum. I actually agree with you. I would stay away from the minus 11 too. I got Indiana and I got the over.
Oh, all right.
This just hits me as an overreaction line. Rutgers' first win since November 4th, 2017, the Big Ten, which is a pretty long time. Also, they just got lucky. Michigan State fumbled 5 times. The Rutgers got, and they threw 2 picks. I don't think that's going to happen with Indiana. I'll take Indiana minus 11.
The only other thing that I'm thinking with this game is it is in Rutgers, Piscataway, kind of a tough place to play when they're decent, but no fans. So
Spain knows where that is.
I don't know. So I don't know about that one. What do you think, Luke?
Well, yeah, I said.
Oh, you already went over?
I already went.
Yeah,
Yep.
you went first.
Yep.
All right, next up, Texas, not back, 3-2. Number 6, Oklahoma State, 4-0. There are only 3.5-point favorites, over under 58.5. I love the over in this game. That's my favorite pick from this one. And I also love Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders looked really good last week, and Chuba Hubbard finally was able to get it going on the ground. So I think Texas is just kind of bad. So I Oklahoma State runs away with this one.
I same thing. I don't know. Texas is like an interesting team. I feel like there's always like that random chance that they just pull one out of their ass and they end up winning. But I don't know about against Oklahoma State, but might be interesting. Yeah, horns down. Yeah. We're good with that.
I mean, you're right. Texas does have those weird wins. But like Drew said, Texas is not back, and they have some bad losses, and I am rolling with Oklahoma State and -3 easy. And I didn't even, like you said, the over, just thinking about that. The one thing about Texas is they do score, and Oklahoma State's always scored, so that I would take the over on that too.
And they don't stop anyone. Oklahoma State defense is actually kind of decent for a change, but I think Texas offense.
It's like some of these teams, like I know I think the first game was like Memphis and maybe not necessarily Cincy, but like that conference, Oklahoma State, Texas, Oklahoma, those teams, there's like no defense. It's
no offense. Yep.
Or like always defense 56-32 or something like crazy like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm also rolling with Oklahoma State -3, especially they pushed the -3 against a better Iowa State team last week. So I think they cover that easy this week.
I just went Oklahoma State straight up. I didn't take the spread.
You gotta take.
Jake,
you gotta take a pick. You got another.
No, I said Oklahoma State straight up though.
You gotta take like something against the spread or an over.
Guy out of the lunch.
I'll take -3 too.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't know. I think Ellinger can be the best player in this game, and he does literally everything for Texas. So if he can limit the turnovers, no fumbles, no picks, it could definitely go the other way. And I think Oklahoma State are frauds, but
I hate that.
they played well so far.
I hate that pick. I think that's kind of like the theme of this college football season is there's a lot of teams right now that have not really been in these top 10 spots ever that are undefeated. And I just feel like it's like you have to give them credit because they are undefeated, but at the same time, it's like
who've they done it against?
Who've they done it against? And it's just a wacky season, but I don't know. You leave them in there for now.
I agree with you, but I'll talk more about that at the end of the show. But I agree with you, kind of.
The Big 12 is just really bad too. That's like the worst. No one's good.
They're always bad.
No team's a playoff.
Well, I mean, it's like Oklahoma. Like, when was the last time we haven't seen Oklahoma in the top 10, let alone not even being ranked? I mean, that's insane. So,
are they not ranked right now?
They might be like in? They're like top. They're like maybe top 25.
Yeah.
Bottom 5.
They'll be back though. They'll be back.
All right. Next game. It's only on here for Jake. Number 4 Notre Dame. They're somehow 5-0. Haven't choked yet. -20. And they're facing Georgia Tech, who is 2-4 over under 57. Jake, is this a trap game for Notre Dame?
Well, originally with Trevor Lawrence pre-COVID, I was going to say it was a look-ahead game, but now I don't know. I mean, Georgia Tech, they aren't great, but they're better than some people think. I still think Notre Dame can win by -20, and I think it'll still go under, though.
Okay.
Hey, you're allowed to turn the light on in your room.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing it to my TV.
But, I kind of like that. I like Notre Dame -20.
United still does it.
What? I was just saying a pick. I like Notre Dame -20 under 57. I think they avoid the trap game. This Notre Dame team actually is starting to maybe not suck, but it's been like every other week with them. If they can like put a couple weeks together going into Clemson, I think this is a big one for them. They have to look good this week.
It's just whether the offense actually gelled or not from that Pitt game.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they looked really good against Pitt, so we'll see.
Yeah, like really good against Pitt. And Pitt just looked
bad.
That
That was a shit kicking.
Yeah, Like, I mean, Notre Dame doesn't have a great offense, but like Pitt's defense is just horrible.
Yeah, Pitt's defense is pitiful. Frank,
Pitt's
speaking of
flat.
Pitt, would you like to give your Notre Dame pick?
Can you imagine picking Pitt? Yeah, me. Notre Dame, and my lock of the week under 57 points.
We have no one's picked against each other. These picks are just going to be horrible this week. I have an odd feeling.
Yeah, like I mean,
There's no
well, that's why my top 10. We'll wait till the end of the show.
Yeah, that'll be. We'll get into it.
All right.
banter.
This is the first
I'm
game.
excited for this one. Yeah.
This is the first game that we can actually like talk about a little bit of debate because they're both just bad teams this year. A lot of hype, but not a lot of anything else with it. LSU 2-2, 3-point favorites. Auburn 3-2, over under 65. Luke, you look excited about this one. What you feel?
I went Auburn and I took them -3.
Big Bo Nix guy.
Here's the thing. I did say last week I was off that Bo Nix train, but I think I'm back on it. There's just something about him. I don't know. I like him, but I don't know. LSU is just
Sound like Browns fans with Baker.
they're off too. Like
He at least has a good game every once in a while. Bo Nix always sucks.
I don't
He
know.
always said,
I'm with Luke here.
I like Bo Nix. There's something about him. I think he's going to come out this week. It's a big game. He's been pretty decent in some big games in the past. Took down Alabama.
I would call it
So
a big unranked game. Interesting.
it is though.
It
This is a good SEC game.
Big
So,
on conference. They're the only other two that can really compete for their division.
Mhm.
So I think Alabama's still gonna run away with it anyways.
yeah.
Jake, you're with me. We both have LSU -3. What's your thoughts going into this one?
I just know LSU is going to be able to score, even though Auburn's defense is pretty good. But will Bo Nix be able to score? That's the question. I don't think he's that good. So I'll take LSU -3.
That's kind of why I like the under in this one. I don't think Bo Nix is going to put anything together, even though LSU's defense is as bad as it's been all year.
Yeah.
But I think Auburn's actually going to slow down Brennan a little bit this week. I don't think LSU's offense is anything crazy. They look pretty on paper, but it's a lot of empty numbers. So I think it's just a low scoring battle this week.
You don't believe? You don't believe in that defense?
Bo Pelini, Bo Nix, any Bo in this game stinks.
I know it's Bo Nix versus Bo Pelini, man.
Yeah.
The Bo's, baby.
Watch out.
Joe, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of just mentioned it quickly earlier, but I'm with Luke here. I like Auburn with Bo Nix action. I think this game could go either way though. I really do. Drew, now that you mentioned that under pick, I think that's not a bad take. At 65, that's a lot of points for these two teams to put up. So that might be a good play.
All right.
Yeah, I like that too, actually.
All right, we've got the game of the week. Wouldn't usually be a game of the week. Well, actually, historically, it is a game of the week, but you wouldn't expect it. Number 3, Ohio State, undefeated. 11.5-point favorites at Penn State. Number 18, 0-1. Does Penn State bounce back after the tough loss to open the season at Indiana? Frank, what you think?
Well, I hate both teams here, and it's very difficult for me to pick which one I want to win. Since Penn State lost, I'll probably be cheering for Penn State. But honestly, I don't see that happening though. I think Ohio State wins this game. I think the over hits as well. However, I would not be shocked if Ohio State doesn't cover 11.5. For some reason, I just wouldn't be shocked. But Ohio State's going to win this game.
Yeah, I think the last 3 meetings between these teams have been decided by just a total of 16 points.
Yeah,
It's always a close game.
This is a much different Penn State team though than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, that's
I think crowd factor too. It's at Beaver Stadium, right?
no fans though.
That's what I'm saying. No fans. That's like their edge. I think that's like a major thing that they rely on. So,
Especially this year, if they were to have an edge, that would be it. And they don't even have that. So I think Ohio State goes out and covers by 2+ scores here.
Yeah.
Easily.
So I love Ohio State in this one. I think Penn State's not going to be able to run downfield against us. As long as we can keep the ball away from Freiermuth, the big tight end, I think he'll be fine. Sean Clifford's not scary. Even though I don't think Ohio State's
the team just lost to Indiana.
Yeah, but Indiana's not bad. I was saying that last show.
Indiana's always played good with them too.
Yeah, Indiana was on the rise. So
You did say last show that Indiana wasn't bad, so I will give you credit for that.
They were 8-4 last year and just got better.
Mhm.
So I think they're going to be a top 15 team all year. Well, they're not right now, but they will be the rest of the year.
Top 15.
The reason why I didn't pick the 11.5 for OSU is I honestly God think like towards the half this game's going to be close,
Mhm.
and Ohio State's going to pull away eventually, but I don't know.
It's just
I can see them winning by 14, but that's it. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion.
I just don't think Penn State's going to be able to score enough. They're on their third string running back right now. It's Sean Clifford. It's Sean Clifford versus Justin Fields.
We'll see if the D-line shows up this game too for us.
What'd you say for that?
We'll see if the D-line shows up for us this game too.
Yeah, I think they'll get a better push this week, and I think the linebackers will look a little better too. So
yeah,
so you're an Ohio State fan and Notre Dame fan. Wow.
Yes.
I have been my whole life.
That's gross.
You want to say something about it?
Yeah, I'm a Steelers and Patriots fan.
I just like every good team from the AFC. I just cheer for someone to be good.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ.
I love Ohio State and Clemson, so
Yeah, literally. Like what?
All right.
So who would you cheer for?
Ohio State.
Versus Notre Dame?
You cheer for Ohio State.
Really? I thought you were Notre Dame first.
No.
So did I.
I cheered for Notre Dame in the bowl game when they played in 15 maybe, just because Notre Dame had all those injuries.
Yeah.
When Jalen Smith went down.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what bowl game it was though.
That was 2015. Yeah.
Didn't they kill them?
It was a game that meant nothing. Notre Dame had nobody on defense.
Yeah.
Zeke ran all over him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get into our top 10s, we got our extra picks of the week. This is my lock of the week too. Michigan State over 52. I think this Michigan team is pretty good, and I think they're going to score a lot, and that's a lot for me to say as much as I hate them. And Michigan State is going to just hang with them. Rivalry, a lot of points. That's going to be a shootout. I like Florida minus 12. I think they're playing Missouri. It's Missouri. Missouri's better than they have been, and Florida's just had a long time to prepare for this game at this point, so I like Florida. And this is just simply a Jake pick for me. Coastal Carolina minus 2.5. So that's just a thank you, Jake pick. All right.
I saw you even have Michigan in your top 10 this week, so
yeah, we'll get into that why they aren't, but they are. So, Joe, what you got?
So I did Boston College plus 31.
I like that.
Love that.
I like that, especially I was eyeing it before Lawrence went out, but now
it's probably dropped a shit ton since then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
they're not bad. They're not bad football.
VC's solid.
And also, it was a 6-point game in the third quarter against Syracuse last week with Lawrence. So I mean, you got to look at that. Also, they were nowhere near covering. Well, there was like 40-something points last week they were supposed to cover. Nowhere near that. So I like Boston College plus 31. I took Coastal minus 2.5 also with Drew. And then I'm riding high on Cincy this year at minus 6.5, especially after what they did to SMU last week. I was really impressed with them. And also I saw this: Memphis allows 260 more yards than Cincy per week in offense. So that's just something to look at. I like Cincy.
Wow.
All right, Frank, what you got?
Wait, hold on. What did you say they were last week against Syracuse?
They were
it was a 6-point game in the third quarter. They were favored by about 4. At one point in the third quarter, the game was within 6 points.
Yeah.
Okay, I see it now. All right.
You fact check me?
Yeah, I was fact checking you.
Was that correct?
I mean, from the box score, no, but I can see how. Yeah.
Yeah, but the box score was within 6.
All right, go ahead. You were right. I was just checking.
It's
My picks. Yeah. Kansas State and Virginia is intriguing.
There's the Frank.
There's the Westminster Wi-Fi.
I'm on my phone, you dick.
Oh.
You hear me now?
Kind of. How about Spain just goes real quick, and then we'll bounce back to you. Hopefully it's fixed.
Yeah. I'll run through mine real quick. I obviously have Coastal minus 2.5. They're one of my teams I'm in love with this year. I think Georgia State is pretty good, but I think they'll be able to handle them by 2.5. They should win by at least a touchdown. Then I have Florida versus Missouri over 61.5. Both teams have good enough offense to put up points. Defenses, not too great. I think both teams can definitely score at least 35 in that game.
Yeah.
Then I have Arkansas State -3 versus Troy. Arkansas State's looked pretty good this year, and Troy's had some bad losses like BYU by 41, even though BYU is probably a top 10 team right now. Then last one, San Diego State -7.5 at Utah State. Utah State lost Jordan Love. Year before that, they lost all their ball catchers, so they have nothing left, really. They're not a good team. San Diego State's not bad. Should be able to win that by 7.5.
I like all those picks a lot.
I like that Arkansas State one especially.
Mm-hmm. They can run it. They can score a lot. Yeah. Luke, you have any picks?
No, I still don't really understand this whole pluses and minus thing. So I'm just kind of.
How many points you getting?
You're here for the college football talk.
Yeah.
All right. So the controversial part of the show, we got our top 10s.
Yeah, just fuck my picks, huh?
Oh, you can talk now?
I forgot. I was just.
Wi-Fi's back.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Frank. You can go. Your picks suck anyways.
I really don't care about this anyway, but
Well, this is your picks. You should care about them. I mean, my beef jerky right now waiting for these. Come on.
I actually thought a game that was interesting was Kansas State and West Virginia. I think Kansas State's 3-1, West Virginia's 3-2. I hate West Virginia, but
They're not bad this year.
yeah, they're not bad, and that's why I thought this game was interesting. I'm taking Kansas State -3.5. I think it'll be a good game. It could go either way. And then my other game I picked is Florida -12. And I forgot who they're playing, so.
I saw that pick too. I like Florida -12.
If you look down like one line, Frank, it says Florida versus Missouri.
And that's one of my picks, too.
Yeah, we've talked about this game multiple times during this
Good
section.
pick, too.
He might have cut out. Give him a break.
Yeah, because of that, Frank, you have to go first for top 10s.
I'll go first.
No, you got to go first now.
All right, fine, whatever. All right. 1, Clemson.
Sure.
Don't have to explain. With Trevor, that scares me a little bit, but there's still 1. Bama 2.
Their backup, Frank, DJ on Lulu, whatever.
Ungungalele.
That guy. He's
Him?
a star.
He is a star.
Crazy.
Yeah, he's legit.
Bama 2. Ohio State fans, pipe down. Ohio State 3. They're a top 3 team. I mean, those spots can fluctuate.
Top 2, but
No, they're not. Notre Dame 4, not Georgia, Joey.
I put Notre Dame 4 this week.
I'm just saying. 5, Georgia. 6, Oklahoma State, who scares me.
Yeah.
7, Cincy. I'll finally give them some credit, and this is where it gets dicey. I got 8, Texas A&M. Think they had a nice win over Florida. They're playing good football right now. 9, I got Miami. I mean, everybody just kind of swept Miami under the rug a little bit.
Nope.
Because they got murdered by Clemson, but they're 5-1 right now. They're winning football games. I like them. I do. And my 10 is up in the air. I mean, it was up in the air this took me a while. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Wisconsin, I don't like Wisconsin because I feel like they always choke somehow, some way. They're always in the top 10. They always lose to somebody. And COVID. So, I mean, I don't know. Isn't the Big Ten have some crazy rule that you have to miss like 21 days?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's scary. But if it's not Wisconsin, I got to go with Florida. I mean, Florida's got Georgia coming up in the schedule, and if they win that game, they're right back in the mix. And they got beat to Texas A&M, I believe.
Yeah.
Obviously ahead of them. And I know some of you are probably like, well, what about Michigan? And I could see Michigan going in there. I just got to see more of them. And the big one that everybody's going to argue is BYU's undefeated. How do you not put them in? And my logic behind that is I think Drew said it earlier in the show was or not Drew, I'm sorry, Luke said it earlier in the show that some of these teams are undefeated, and you're like, well, how can we put them there? And like, I mean, I get that. Like with like an Oklahoma State, I get that, but like a BYU who the hell is BYU played, and who are they gonna play?
Hey Frank, my biggest question for you: what's Miami done?
They're 5-1. I mean,
Louisville. They got
I would say
by Clemson. They barely since that Clemson game they got destroyed. Clemson. They barely beat a horrible Pitt team that just got exposed by Notre Dame, and now they by Virginia. They're bad. They're not good, and their biggest win before that was a game against Louisville, and now Louisville is just terrible. That's like Notre Dame's biggest.
But I would still take Miami's schedule over BYU's schedule all day of the week.
Well, BYU just got screwed because they.
And if BYU played Miami, I'm picking Miami. Like, and that's why I'm like, who's the better team here? I mean, I look at these teams. Okay, it doesn't have to be Miami, but I still see these teams, and there's not one team in there that BYU's better than. I'm sorry. So why would I put them in there if I don't think they're better than them?
I think BYU's looked good all year, and Zach Wilson is an elite quarterback. And I love De'Aaron King a lot too. But BYU can score against anyone, and their defense hasn't looked
then we have this UCF situation again, where they're like, national team. Like, they don't play. These guys don't play anybody. I'm sorry. You got to play people.
They got Boise State coming up. If they go thump Boise State on the blue turf.
Who did UCF lose to this year? Have they lost yet?
UCF already has 2 losses.
That's what I was going to say.
No, I'm saying like the years past when they would say they were national champs and stuff. Like, this reminds me of them. They don't play anybody. Like, it's BYU. Like, I think I sent you guys a score. It was 27-20 to a team that I don't even know the name of.
The Roadrunners. Hey, come on.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you're good at that stuff, so you would know. But who? It's BYU.
I mean, but all right.
Basketball school, not a football school.
I'll make that, but then it's with like Cincinnati too. I kind of feel the same way about Cincinnati. It's like, who really have they played? Like, that SMU win is pretty impressive, but
yeah, and I said that earlier in the show. I said I didn't trust Cincy, but that SMU win, that's impressive to me. They have an impressive win to me.
Yeah,
BYU doesn't have.
They're undefeated, so you just kind of like honor that. You're just like, okay, we're gonna honor that undefeatedness.
So Frank, if Boise State BYU goes out and crushes Boise State, would you then buy into them a little bit?
What's Boise State's record?
They're 1-0. They're number 25.
Ran through Utah State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if Boise State's like supposed to be good, then yes.
Boise State's always going to be good.
I will give them more credit, because here's the thing with standings. These guys are going to lose. Like, someone's going to lose in here. They always do. Yeah. So that's when they kill someone like Boise State. That's when I slip them in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if a Cincy loses, I can replace the Cincy with BYU. Like, it's simple like that. Like, I mean, it's just I have more respect for the teams like a Florida or like a Texas A&M that play people. Like, that's just how I am.
Would you ever put Cincy in your top 4? They go undefeated this year. Can they get into your top 4?
Stump.
No. No. I would put a 1-loss team.
Would you put a 2-loss team?
I'd put a 1-loss team in over them.
Because look at it. The way I'd look at it is, okay, hypothetically speaking, we put 4.
Can you hear me? Because I can't.
You're good.
Here's my thing. We put Cincinnati at 4. From a college playoffs perspective, they're either playing a Clemson, an Alabama, or an Ohio State. I mean, that's not even fair.
But I think any team
would like to. Exactly. No team can compete with those 3.
I think the top. I think Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, and Notre Dame. That is like the most consistent top 4 each time.
Okay, but like
you put those people in your top 4, and there's really no argument.
I mean, Joey said no team could compete with that. I would rather watch Georgia or
But we already saw Bama face Georgia, and they got thumped. So, let's give another team.
There's going to be a rematch. I think they'll play again.
Yeah, they'll play in the SEC. Yeah. So
okay, and they lose, and if they lose again, they're done, obviously. But I'm saying you can't, I just don't see how you could put a team like plays people over.
Here's my question then. So then Alabama plays Georgia again. Georgia beats Alabama. Then what's your ranking?
Then you can split.
Are you
switch it
dropping
up.
Alabama to 4, or are you dropping?
Georgia's not going to beat Alabama, though.
You move Alabama to 4, Georgia 3, Clemson 1, 2.
Absolutely, yeah. And Ohio State goes up if Clemson doesn't like
You
Ohio
don't
State.
say, but here's the thing: you don't say then.
Alabama's 4 unless someone else comes out of nowhere.
But Notre Dame.
So Notre Dame's probably gonna
lose to Clemson.
Yeah. So then you're just looking at is which is the better loss?
Yeah, I mean that's the way I have to
Notre
look at
Dame or an Alabama versus Georgia.
The thing with Georgia, they're gonna have better wins throughout the year playing the SEC. The rest,
in my opinion, the only way it gets hard is when you come with the two losses. That's when it gets hard. Because that's when you're like, this team's undefeated. This team has 2 losses. They have to get they kind of. I mean,
2 losses will not make it.
You have to put an undefeated team over 2 losses. Like that. I mean, you kind of just have to do that. But the 1 loss, I am just like 100% like Cincinnati can't compete with these teams. I'm sorry, they can't.
Who it is, and again, like when it is too. So I mean, since he could end up, they beat SMU, they would beat Memphis, they beat Houston, and they beat UCF. They're still all solid wins.
And that's also considering you have Army, SMU, Memphis, Houston, UCF, Temple, which are all going to be borderline top 25 wins at that point.
Okay, but then like you would have to look at whoever they're going against, and then you'd have to see their wins because they would obviously have impressive wins, and then it's like whose wins were more impressive.
I think just overall, it's if those teams have already lost to someone in the playoffs, I understand you want the rematch and stuff, but they already had their chance. Beat them when you have them. Don't wait and let it get a second chance.
Yeah,
when UCF won their national title, they got their shot and they crushed Auburn.
Hold on though. But like you're right. I mean, I get that, but these teams are also playing each other in the regular season. They don't have to wait till the playoffs to get their ass kicked by them. You know what I mean? Like they have to go play in week 2 of the regular season.
Yeah.
They don't get to go play like a Houston team and beat up on that or whoever the hell like these teams play. Like,
but that's what Clemson's been doing all year. I think any team that Clemson's played this year, any like top American team they're better. They're better than like Wake Forest of the world. So
I mean, like Syracuse stuff like that.
Into my other point.
Yeah, let's explain to them.
This goes into my other point where I think they need to expand the playoff. Because
that's an argument for another day, man. We'll go on for hours.
Like if everybody gets a bid that wins their conference, there's no freaking arguing. Then you have 2 wild cards. Like
yeah, one quick one. Let's all just before we just go off the rails with like how many teams should be in. Just say how many you think should be in, and then we'll leave it at that. We'll go on to other people's rankings. Frank, how many teams in the playoffs?
I think they should do it exactly like the NFL. 12? Yes. No. Like once like so 6. 7. It would be 7 now. I'm fine with 17. First seed gets a bye.
6 is I'll go with 8, 5. The top 5 Power 5 teams, each conference winner, then 3 wild card.
Yeah, I'd say 8.
I mean, I'm okay with 8 too, but yeah, I gotta look at. I don't know how many conferences. I think I need to.
I mean, but again, here's the thing though. I think if they did it, maybe like, because I still think if you're throwing an 8 seed against the 1 seed, I just still feel like that's just not.
Well, that's where my point comes in. The 1 gets a bye.
Right, but or even if it was like 4 through 8 are in a bracket and 1 through 4 in a bracket.
But then, like, how can you decide the number 1 getting a bye just on there's like in the NFL the number 1's the number 1 because they had the best record this year? How can you say that like if Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama all go undefeated that one of them should have to not get a bye? They should all get a bye because they're all about the same level of skill.
Yeah. Well, then it goes to the normal it goes to the committee. That's when the committee comes into play. You know what I mean?
I hate it going to the committee. That's just one of my things. That's why I think it should be 16 teams. The NFL has 14 of their 32 teams that make the playoffs. Every other division of college football has at least 16 teams in the playoffs. I don't get why it's still only 4 in college in FBS football. So it makes no sense that there's not more. The percentage of making the playoffs is the lowest in any sport. So there should be more teams in the playoffs.
I definitely agree about more teams. I don't know about 16.
16 means there's no argument anymore. If you're missing the playoffs at number 17, you weren't probably going to win it anyways. You can maybe go upset in a 1 seed just because you played your heart out. But it's like the NBA. How often are you seeing the 8 seed not get swept or just going out in 5 games? It's the same thing, but it just it gets everyone a chance to win it then.
I agree with Drew here. And also, I was going to say, look at how controversial like the 8 through like 14 seeds are this year.
Mhm.
Like there's a handful of different teams that could go in that spot right there. So I think 16 teams, like Drew said, eliminates the argument, and it allows everybody to get a chance and see what happens.
Drew and I have talked about this before. Like when you get to like 14, when you get to like 13, 14, 15, 16,
You've got 3
those
losses.
teams, those teams are not, you can't even like say that like, oh, the 17th team is better than the 16th.
Right.
Like it's literally, it's just like at that point.
If you miss it, just try again next year.
Right. Yeah.
And it gives then non-Power 5 programs a good shot at the playoffs then. Because even at 8, that means there's only really one non-Power 5 school that's going to make it. Because like we said, if you said just you take your Power 5 programs, 5 spots, and then a Notre Dame would probably be a 6, and then a Georgia 7, that only leaves 1 spot for a BYU or Cincy, and they're just as good as each other.
I just don't see like teams like I don't see these small conference teams just getting in. Like I just don't with four. I just don't see them getting in. I think Cincy definitely has a way better shot than BYU to get in. Because Cincy can beat some people and they can beat them bad. You know what I mean? And like,
But you're Cincy's just had a bunch of close games too until the SMU game. The SMU's the first team they brought it on.
And they played Austin P the first game.
Yeah.
So like that's like not even a.
Yeah, I know. Pitch dropped 54 on them, but
Wow, good. Yeah.
Fighting Irish.
All right. Well, that's
all right, TC.
Jake, I want to hear your top 10.
Me?
I said Jake, but
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
Not Pete. Jake.
All right, so obviously number 1, Clemson, until proven otherwise, even though Trevor Lawrence he will miss this game and probably Notre Dame, so that could easily change. This one I've had trouble with between Ohio State and Alabama, but I went Ohio State first. Offense looks like it might be one of the best in the country. Defense did struggle a little bit week 1, though, so we'll see how that goes. Then Alabama, defense also has issues, and I think Mac Jones is a problem, but now that Jalen Waddle's out for the year, that could hurt.
Mm-hmm. That offense will be a little less dynamic now.
Even though they still have like Devontae Smith and all those receivers, but Waddle's still amazing. Number 4, I'm going to go with the other boys, Notre Dame, because they have the best defense in the country. You hear that, Frankie? And their offense has potential to be solid. Then I'll go number 5 with the Bulldogs, Georgia. Offense has it figured out, and defense is their strong suit, so we'll see how they can carry that along. Number 6, we just talked about them for a while, Cincinnati. Already have a few big wins, especially that SMU one. Offense has looked solid, and defense is also one of the best in the country, I think. 7, Oklahoma State. Like I said earlier, I think they're frauds. They do have a few solid wins. Then Manius also won't like this one. Number 8, BYU. The offense, especially Zach Wilson, is tearing everything apart. They handled Houston and La Tech. First big test will be next week, like we talked about at Boise. Number 9, Texas A&M. I'm just a big fan of Kellen Mond, so I love that offense. Defense isn't too pretty, though. Then, same with Manios. I have Wisconsin, number 10. The 4-star freshman QB looked pretty good. Was it Graham Mertz?
Yeah.
I was wrong on that. I won't deny that. I did not expect that. But with him having COVID, we'll see what they can do now. They could easily drop out. Then honorable mention, my team, Coastal Carolina. Offense is humming. Defense is pretty good, too.
Is this an honorable like
What?
10?
No, this is honorable mention.
Oh, I was going to say, like, you think they could get in the top 10. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, they're looking good. I also have Liberty in there. Love them. Started off slow the first 2 games, but since then they've been killing everybody, including Syracuse and Southern Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Then lastly, in the honorable mention, Marshall. Above average offense, then that defense has been pretty freaking good.
That's fair. Joe?
Yeah, not much to argue here with my top 10, I don't think. Clemson number, yeah, we will. Clemson number 1, powerhouses of the year. I don't think there's much to argue there. Ohio State number 2, offense looks unreal this year, as always. Spain, I like that.
That's unreal after one freaking game, man. Go ahead. Like, I mean,
Go Pitt, yeah. Alabama number 3. That's pretty self-explanatory. I hate to do it. I don't think Notre Dame's proven themselves enough yet to be number 4, but I can't see myself putting anybody else at the number 4 position. So I had
did
to
you
do
see who
it.
they just beat?
What?
Did you see who they just beat, though?
Yes, I did. That's why I put them there.
Great team they just beat.
Notre Dame number 4. Yeah, a great Pitt team. Phenomenal.
Great defense, put 45 on them.
Yep, unreal.
We didn't put BYU 4.
Oklahoma State 5, and I think they had an impressive win last week. Real solid. Georgia 6. I said it earlier. I'm impressed with Cincy this year. Big win against SMU. I like how their offense is looking this year. I think they're gonna just keep moving up and keep winning. And like I said, 8 through like even 12. That's just it's a toss up. I think anybody can go in there. So I'm going BYU 8.
You guys don't have to wait. The teacher's not going to call on you.
All right, Joe. Question.
Answer.
Didn't you have Georgia at number 4 last week?
Yeah, I was going for it, Spain. You should have let me do it. How does Georgia go from 4 to 6?
Well, first of all, after Notre Dame obliterated this great supposed Pitt team.
Oh, no. Because then you keep making fun of them, but you must give them a lot of respect if you're going to put Georgia at 6 and just slide Notre Dame into 4 like that.
I gave Notre Dame a lot of respect.
Big argument last week. You made a huge argument last week that Georgia's the 4th team in the country. You made a big argument last week.
The argument last week was that Notre Dame is not a 4 team in the country. It wasn't necessarily that Georgia was not.
Oh my! You were all over Georgia last week. You were all over them.
I was all over Notre Dame not being a 4 team.
Now you had them 6. They're not even your.
All over Notre Dame not being a 4 team, and especially after Oklahoma State's win this week, I like them a lot.
I'm with Joe actually. Surprised. Yeah. His point makes sense. Notre Dame proved themselves. They have the 4 locked up. They are better than Georgia, I think. And then Oklahoma State had the big win over Iowa State and looked pretty decent too. Against, I think, a good Iowa State team.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. I don't hate your logic there makes sense, but
I just don't get how you guys keep making fun and like Pitt sucks, but you keep making fun of how shitty of them, but they proved themselves. Like, how did they prove themselves if Pitt's so shitty?
I thought you said Pitt was so good though.
I mean, I thought at the beginning of the year they were supposed to be good. I mean, they were ranked.
So going into that game, it was they were a solid team, you could say, going into that game.
One of the best defense in the nation.
I personally picked them because I am biased as hell, and I mean, obviously no one else picked them but me, so that shows how biased I was. But they were 3-3 going into that game. That's not. They lost to Boston 3-3. They lost to Boston College, Miami, and NC State. I mean, they're shitty. I love them, but they suck.
Right, but like Spain said, though, they were supposed to have this great defense that Notre Dame absolutely tore apart.
Yeah. Like I said in the chat, and what's his face that's not on the show right now, the other Joe, said there's a thing called hidden yardage, which fucking Pitt's offense gave them the ball at the 50 every time. So, yeah, we can look at the scoreboard real quick and be like, damn, Pitt's defense sucks, but it's hard not to give up points when the opposing team's offense is starting at the 50 every time.
I agree, but I'm looking at the Notre Dame versus Louisville game, and it was 12-7 versus this Pitt team that I think is better than Louisville and what Notre Dame did to them. And to me, they proved themselves this week. That's why Notre Dame's up there.
Okay.
All right. You want to go?
There you go. I'll let you have the last spot.
Wait, Luke, have you watched any games this year?
Oh no, I haven't actually. No.
Those guys.
So yeah, number 1 I have Kent State, and that.
That's fair.
So 1 Clemson, obviously. 2 Ohio State, biased. 3 Alabama. 4 Notre Dame. 5 I'm going Georgia. I'll put Georgia there still. 6 Oklahoma State, 7 Cincy, and this is where I'll shake it up a little bit. I have 8 Miami. Love De'Aaron King, good quarterback play. 9 I'll go Michigan. Hate to say that, but it was an impressive game.
They did look good. Sadly.
Do you want me to wait for Joe to get
back? No, just Joe.
Okay.
Just keep going.
No, I was going to say, unless it was just mine, I thought you froze for.
He just walked away. I don't know what
it was real quick. It was good.
It's all him. He can leave and enter when he wants.
Okay. Yeah. So 9 Michigan. I think they were impressive, and I like 10 BYU.
Yeah, I think
So-
honestly, like the only difference between Australia is what we think of Miami.
Yeah.
I don't think Miami's that good. You do, and
Yeah.
that's a toss up.
Miami.
Yeah.
Don't impress me.
I like the Miami thing. I'm okay with the Michigan thing. I don't like the BYU, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I probably should have prefaced that. Maybe BYU. I think 10 is BYU, Florida, or Wisconsin. I hate having to say all three, but like, I do
The
think
10's in the air. The 10 is in the air. The 10's in the
Well,
air.
yeah. I mean, I would
Deserving too.
no COVID and the whole thing with their quarterback now being out. If that wasn't the case, 10 is Wisconsin. I might even throw Wisconsin a little bit higher. So
That's exact same. I would have had him top 8.
yeah, I would have probably put Wisconsin ahead of Cincinnati, to be quite honest.
I don't trust them, man. I just don't trust them.
Hard to.
All right, so then mine's pretty similar. I said it last week. I'm going to say it every week. Clemson will be 1 spot above Ohio State no matter what all year. I don't care if Clemson loses their next 3 games without Trevor Lawrence. And I will bump Ohio State out of the top 10 to be 1 spot behind them. I'll list them wherever they are in my top 25. So Clemson 1, Ohio
That's a
State
lot.
2. I think Bama's the best team in the country. Or not Bama, sorry. Ohio State's the best team in the country. Defense looked a little shaky, but cleaned it up in the second half. Justin Fields for Heisman. Plain and simple. Mac Jones is really good. I think we'll have to see what they do without Waddle. Notre Dame 4, I had them already at 4. They're undefeated. Their prove-it game's Clemson, and we'll see how they do against that. Oklahoma State, they've got 3 really good weapons on offense. Spencer Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, Tylen Wallace. Plain and simple. There's a lot of offense there. Georgia 6, they got thumped by Bama, have done nothing really since. So give me a good win, and you can move up in the rankings. 7, Cincy, defense is legit. I think I had them there last week. No change. BYU 8. I think they're just a little bit worse than Cincy because they don't have the defense. A&M, they've looked honestly pretty good, and they didn't play Alabama horribly. So,
Yeah.
and 10, Milton, Michigan. They're going to be good, and they're only going to keep climbing from here.
I have a
I
question.
also think Minnesota sucks. So
I think until the last week.
Yeah, Minnesota was overrated going into this year. I love what's the coach's name? PJ Fleck.
PJ Fleck, row the boat.
Row the boat, of course, but
Ooh,
they're nothing special.
Big energy guy.
They lost a lot last year.
He's a glue guy.
Their defense lost a lot, and they're not going to be as great this year. So that's why I like Indiana being the new Minnesota this year. That's my top 10. Honorable mentions: Wisconsin. They're dead to me. They're trying to kill the Big Ten. So I hate them. And Penn State would probably be number 1 if they just play a couple games. So next week they'll probably be number 1 in my power
potential
rankings.
to go 6-0.
Potential to go 6-0. The road to 6-0 starts next.
Action.
I believe that future.
What do you say?
What'd you have Texas A&M last week?
I think I had them at 9. I don't think my top 9 changed really at
So
all.
you think Texas? You think BYU is better? Do you think BYU is a better team than Texas?
They're more deserving of the number 8 spot. So I don't know if they're better. I think BYU can hang with any team that's not in the top 3. I think their offense is going to keep it close no matter what.
Let me ask you the question: if it came down to that, with those teams, who would you put in?
So what do you mean? Which teams to make
Would
the
you
top
put
4?
Texas A&M or BYU in?
As of right now,
As of right now, BYU.
So you would put BYU in the top 4 over Texas.
If BYU goes undefeated, A&M's not going to finish with. Well, if A&M finishes with 1 loss, that means they went through the gauntlet of the SEC, won an SEC championship. Yeah, I'll put them above BYU.
I'm just saying, like, if the season ended like today and you had to pick that, like, let's just say it came down to.
I don't trust A&M. I don't think Kellen Mond's anything crazy at quarterback. Their offense has looked pretty solid, but they're nothing. They're not crazy good. And I think BYU's offense is actually good. No matter, not just like group of 5 good. I mean, I think they're good. So
I guess I'm just a BYU hater.
yeah, I don't know what the BYU hate is. I'm a big group of 5. I'm pro every team.
I like to see I want to see competition for that playoff spot, and I just don't think they can provide it.
I don't think any team's going to provide competition in the number 4 spot. I think it's a 3-team race.
I mean, you never know, but I feel like one of the other teams would give them a run for their money than a BYU or Cincinnati.
Let's see what Notre Dame can do first, and then we'll decide. And as long as Bama keeps crushing teams,
I think they're gonna get crushed.
I think the only team that might keep it close with Bama would be like an Auburn, just because the rivalry.
They play would Notre Dame have to play Clemson twice then?
I don't think so.
Jake, are they on the same side of the division or are they opposites?
Well, I don't know. I never actually looked at how it was aligned.
Yes, I'm not sure what they'll have to do. But if they go 1 loss to Clemson and they don't make their the conference championship game, no, don't put them in. They don't have any prove-its. We got Luke just sitting on the floor over here, just like laying with his feet against the wall. Just
I was looking at Matt's fantasy team. Not looking good right now.
I had something. This might be a question for another time, but how different,
post
if at all, do you guys think would look right now? This whole thing with no COVID.
Not much different.
I don't know. I mean, dude.
That's all I was wondering.
It's actually insane to me that Oklahoma lost 2 games like that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was just
I think it would look different.
That's not COVID.
I don't know. I
bad.
mean,
Well, but that is COVID though a little
it
bit.
is.
You don't play these teams. You don't play. And I talked about it last. You don't play these early conference games.
and I know it's hard to say how it would
you would
look.
expect the
but
first 2 games Oklahoma is playing is against 2
Oklahoma warmed up with an
bum-ass
FCS
schools.
school.
Yeah.
They did have an FCS school to open up the year, and then they crushed them, and then they faced their Big 12.
When does conference games usually start? Like week 4 or 5?
Well, Oklahoma usually opens up with a road or home, like a home and home against a good Power 5 school. So they'll usually have someone on their schedule already to challenge them. So no, I don't think that's the case. I think Oklahoma's bad. They're not the same. They don't have any receivers. They can't get a run game going. And the big thing is Spencer Rattler is not like the past 3 quarterbacks. They had 3 Heisman candidates the past 5 years, whatever it's been now.
Okay, I agree with that, but that's one team, so I would agree from an Oklahoma standpoint. But from the other standpoints, I don't agree with that. And I think
it's interesting. So you see there's cases where the past years where a ranked team has been beaten by a cakewalk team and just completely knocked them out of any conversation the rest of the year.
Georgia wouldn't have played Alabama yet, probably not.
I don't know.
Those 2 usually play each other earlier in conference play. So yeah, they'd play each other a week 5 instead of a week 3. But
week 5, and I don't remember it being early. And Notre Dame played Georgia a couple years ago, so they could have been out of it early. And so yes, I think it makes a huge difference. Honestly,
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's just something to think about.
Definitely from a scheduling standpoint, just from that.
I mean, generally at this time there would be probably at least 3 Big Ten teams in the top 10.
From a scheduling standpoint, Pitt didn't have to play. I mean, they suck and it wouldn't have mattered, but they didn't have to play Clemson going into the year. Now they had to play Clemson. They had to play Notre Dame. They weren't going to play Notre Dame. They had to play some of these teams. So yes, I'm with Joey. I think it definitely matters.
Yeah,
I guess I'm looking at it from a biased Ohio State fan point, where I think our schedule honestly just got a little easier because we didn't have to go to Eugene, go face Oregon.
I was gonna say, Oregon.
We would have ran their shit.
Tough.
I think we still would have.
When does that start?
They start when the MAC starts, I think. So November
4th.
4th? No, well, that Saturday.
Yeah, that Saturday because we have
Excited to see Jaden Daniels again. Big fan of him.
He's good. No, not that far, Frank. But anyone else got anything for the post show?
I'm all good.
All right. Well, we'll be back probably tomorrow. We're gonna have an NFL preview this time, and then we'll have a recap after that later in the week. So thanks for watching at the lunch table. We'll be back soon. See you guys. Go Bucks.